So the book, which explains how a Hindu temple is constructed and what are the processes that happen there, which makes it so different from other buildings, that text is called the Agama Shastras. So the Agama Shastras talk about how it is to be constructed, where do you place the Vigraham, what is to be done to the Vigraham before placing it. And one of the beautiful things that I learned in these books was that the way the temple is conceptualized, it is not that you think of the architecture first and how to build the building and then you put a deity or Vigraham there. No, that's not the way it is done. The first decision that is made is about the deity itself. Who is the Devata Shakti who will reside there? And it can be a Swayam Vyakta, that is a self-manifest form, like we see in temples like Kamakhya. It can be something which has been installed by the sages, like we see in the many temples of Kerala and Sabarimala of Parashurama and Agastya Muni, who have gone and installed it themselves. Or it is the more recent temples, or Manushya Devalayas, which we call it, where in more recent times humans have done the processes and the techniques and brought life into the Vigraham. But in all these, the key thing is that the Vigraham itself, the Devata Shakti itself, that is considered as the soul, as the Atman. And then the temple is built as a body for that soul. So it is the Vigraham that comes first, and to support the nature of that Vigraham, the Chaitanya there, a temple is constructed as a body, as an extension of that. This is the fundamental understanding of a Hindu temple. Now, there is a technique in the Agama Shastras, and it is called the Prana Pratishtha. Very often in English, we translate it as consecration. So, in the Western concept, consecration today has come to mean something which is symbolically sacred. Okay, symbolically sacred. But the idea of a prana pratishtha is far from being merely symbolic. Prana pratishtha is a technique wherein any object or a space is brought into life by imbuing prana in it. So this is done by a priest by following the techniques mentioned in Agama Shastras. And the very important thing here is the sankalpam, the intention with which the prana pratishtha is done, and that decides the nature of the chaitanyam. The chaitanyam is that which is present in a temple by virtue of the technique of prana pratishtha. So you may have the same deity in multiple temples, but the Chaitanyam could be different in every one of them. And the reason is the way in which the Prana Pratishtha is done. In addition to that, the nature of the Sankalpa. So that is why we have so many Ayyappan temples, but not all of them have the same rules and regulations as Sabarimala. Sabarimala is different from the other Ayyappan temples. Like that, you take any deity, the rules and regulations are based on what was put in there and the nature of that. So only the Pandit who did the initial Prana Pratishtha will truly know what he put in there. And the rules and the regulations that he gives should not be tampered with, because those regulations are intended to maintain the Chaitanya based on the Sankalpa he put in there. And we must be very, very careful before we try to modify or tamper with those rules. Okay? So there are elaborate ways on which a temple is built. There is the drawing known as the Vastu Purusha Mandala, in which you have a human-like form lying down. And the temple is said to be constructed similar to resemble the human body itself, from the entrance being similar to the feet of a person lying down, to the place where the seat of the icon is being equivalent to the space between our eyebrows. Now, the way the temple is, there are drawings that show you that it is equal to that of a human body, and they show you connections with what we call as chakras.